Thank you for joining us, everybody. We're going to get our show started in just a couple of seconds here. Want to remind everybody, if you could just share this broadcast, we would greatly appreciate it because it would help us get more views and make the show a lot more exciting for live interaction. So please, don't forget to share the broadcast. We also appreciate all of your likes and comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and get ready for Spit the Wit. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to this show that was entirely produced and developed by the people sitting in front of you. Jessy, Meadows, and Frankie Almost. Brought to you in part by Rolling Hills Productions. Live from Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Spit the Wit. Jessy, if you would be so kind, would you please tell us what today's show's about?
Okay, so today we have a special guest. It's kind of a special episode all around. We have Joey Murray. And still awkward on the introduction.
Nice. Sounds good. Already a popular guy, by the way.
And now, here is your host, Frankie Almost.
This young man is already a popular guy. Already has somebody in the room shouting out to him. And it is from Chad Hill. He said, "What up, Joey?" Hello, Chad.
Hello, Chad. There we go.
There we go. There's
Hello.
Joey Murray for you. Okay, so welcome to Spit the Wit, everybody. I know it's not our usual time, and I also see that our camera is actually out of alignment, but we had kind of pieced together today. This is not a usual day for us to be broadcasting. However, we were in hiatus, and we're not coming back until the beginning of the month, June. However, Joey Murray here begged and pleaded to be... No, I'm just kidding.
Please, Frankie, please.
You gotta do a show for me. No, but so we wanted to give Joey a chance to get a soapbox on the internet here and talk about things that he wanted to talk about. So for the most part, this is the Joey Murray episode of Spit the Wit. And we're going to let him kind of run things here a little bit and ask him questions about stuff that he's doing.
Well, I got to first of all compliment. I like the new layout better than the first time.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know how well you can tell online, but it was the other way around, and then, like, it's kind of over here, and you guys were here. It's kind of like backseat middle.
Right.
And you're trying to have a conversation, like backseat middle, and there's two people in the front, and you're like, hey, but I have something to say. Like,
right. and I still have the situation where I have to go like this to switch camera views and stuff like that.
Right.
But you know, we're working out the glitches, and we're going to change the whole format here. We're actually going to start doing like a more of a coffee table talk, kind of a Conan O'Brien style.
Really?
Yeah.
With, like, a desk and everything?
Yeah, so we're going to go that route. Our only problem right now is trying to figure out how we're going to wire the switcher because for those people that don't know, I run the camera angles while I'm hosting the show.
Right.
So the sit-down thing, I'm going to have some kind of apparatus in front of me letting me switch and do all the camera switches while running the show. So
it's like a legit, like, late night, like, thing.
Yeah.
Bump the microphone. Yeah, so cool.
We had
the last one on this format.
Right.
So, all right. So I don't want to. I'm not going to be here. I'll see you later.
Right. This is old hat, and we have Joey Murray on it in lieu of that. So
remember the 50s?
Remember the 50s when Spit the Wit was a thing. But yeah. So we actually had a band, partial band on here. Part of the band was here playing acoustic, but we had so many technical difficulties that day that we didn't really get to have them on here as we wanted to. But that's why we have some microphones that are standing in different areas and stuff like that because they actually performed here, and that is going to be part of our format. Is we're actually going to have bands as guests and let them play out in the big room, since this room is what do you say, 15 by 12 or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so
and it's definitely crowded. Like I'm by myself over here, and I'm kind of like kind of crowded, and I could imagine having guitars and oboes and whatever.
They did it, man. They had a couple of acoustic guitars, and we mic'd them. We had two mics pointed at their guitars and two mics pointed at their mouth, and they did a great job. However, there was no sound because we were having a Facebook glitch that day. So, yeah.
That'd be neat though. Have like a whole sound stage, like a whole thing.
Right.
That'd be
And
pretty
actually
good.
switch to that, so they can sit down and talk to us, and then while we're talking, they can get up off camera
And go over to
and
the-
go
do
over
their
to
thing.
the stage area. Yeah, that's
That'd be
how
pretty dope,
that's how
not
we're
gonna
gonna
lie.
do it. Yeah, so we're gonna by all means necessary, we're gonna make that happen somehow. So
What's the official debut date? Do you have an official date?
we don't have an official day. It's more or less when we get it up and running, because
Because like
we're-
next month is like what, 4 days? Something
yeah,
like that? So,
and my
yeah.
birthday is the 3rd, so it kind of negates.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right. Weird,
So-
weird early June birthday.
right. Same as Prince, man. Like his is the 7th, mine is the 3rd. So
You and Alicia. Alicia's hers this coming month too, and she celebrates it all month. So it's just like whatever
Yeah.
day. And also I said her name. She was like insisting on that. So there you go. Gotcha.
nice. Let's see what Chad said here real quick. He said, "You still doing MMA, Joey?
Yeah.
I haven't heard from you in a while. What have you been up to with your life?"
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Right.
Actually, that's kind of part of why I'm here a little bit. The MMA thing I'll get to a little later on. The short version is I've been too busy gaining weight and working in an office to get into it down here as much as I want to, which sucks because there's so many crazy good gyms down here. I mean, I'm right down the street from a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. My friend Drew trains at Cobra Kai, which I still want to go and do. Syndicate MMA is a place that I'm
Cobra
looking
Kai,
at.
do or die. Sorry, Karate
Yeah,
Kid fan.
You have to every time. No, so that, and then Syndicate MMA is another good place. I mean, and then I have kind of a list, so to speak, of people that I didn't fight in Montana that I'd like to go back and fight.
Whoa,
So, yes, and
that's
and
very like
it-
hitman of you.
well,
To have a list, a like literal list.
I actually have a list. I almost actually thought one night about I
You're
had
on my list, buddy.
No, I
kind
had
of thing.
I had about 3 beers in me, and I'm like, I'm gonna draw the list, and I'm gonna put it on Instagram, and just have like one of the names already crossed out, like just. Like, and then I was like, wait a minute, that's a little douchey, and I'm kind of buzzed. I'm gonna wait, and then in the morning, I'm like, I'm gonna hold off for right now. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
you
still gonna
should
be
have
like,
done it.
it's still gonna be like, I don't know, like 6 months before I'm ready, because it's gonna take me like 90 days or no, maybe a little less, but to get back down just to fight weight, because I'm heavy right now. But
Yeah.
but two of the
What
guys
is fight weight? What's the weight target weight?
like 175 at the most.
And you're what,
And
6'1"?
I'm 6.
6 foot?
Even, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like 190 right now, which is the heaviest I've been.
Yeah.
So
I'm right there with you, and I'm 3 inches shorter. So
right. So no, but no. So for MMA, like I have a guy that called me out before I moved, and as a matter of fact, everyone that's on my list is on my friends list. So hopefully, when
Nice.
So,
do you know a guy named Tony Malillo?
Tony Malillo, yeah, we used to work with him. up in
Junior.
Bozeman.
Yeah,
Junior,
he-
yeah. I don't
He,
know, senior.
he is. He said, "Yo, Joe," and then he said, "12 months."
12 months.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. It's cryptic messages being sent to Joey Murray,
That is cryptic.
the list holder. I'm like, shit. Should we lock the front door?
No, so
12 months, Joey. 12 months.
but the guy that called me out before, and I'm just gonna say his name. His name is Jesse Brown.
Mhm.
He called me out before I moved, and I'm like, hey man, I'm not like in a jerky way. Like he was like cool about it, but I was like, yeah, but dude, I'm like, but I'm moving, so he's
Right.
like, oh man, and then he fought and he injured his knee in his last fight, and I don't know where that's at. So we were kind of chatting the other day. I'm like, hey man, how's your knee? And I was kind of and then it's finding the right venue and places to do it. So that one's not like a fuck you like kind of thing. It's just
Right.
like we're just like, hey, he's like, hey man, like I'm like,
That's
yeah,
cool.
sure. So he
Right
comes
on.
out of a pretty tough group of guys, Dog Pound in Missoula, Montana. So
Yeah.
they're trains with a lot, like think with those guys and some, if not someone else in Missoula now. But anyway, so he called me out, and I was like, yeah, I'm down to do it, but it hasn't lined up now, and
Yeah.
he's still injured as far as I know. So, but there's like 3 other people. One of them that was actually scheduled to fight me before, and then like just
Right.
didn't, and like decided to fight somebody else, and I was like, all right, like that's
So Tony Malillo said, "Won't be 6 months like you say," is what he said.
oh 12 months before. Oh, because he's calling me fat.
Right, basically. And
I
so
get
and
it.
so did freaking Chad Hill too. Chad Hill came in there and said, "You lazy fat bastard, get in the gym." And then he said, "Oh wait, that's me." LOL.
Okay.
And then Pete Anderson said 248 days, which is cryptic again for me. So I don't.
I don't know. Is this like Mayan calendar part
Right.
2? I don't know. I don't understand.
And the other thing that I wanted to point out was that you said you weren't going to talk about MMA, and here we are talking about MMA.
Well, no, I was going
but the
to.
reason why is because the public demands what the public demands, and you're going to find that out in your life.
No, I know.
You have to adhere to what's going on.
Well, no, I was already going to talk about that. I was going to save it for the end of what I was going to say, but whatever. Because it doesn't segue at all into what I was actually going to get into.
You are Joey Murray, the MMA fighter, as far as most people know.
Right.
So you're going to come in here and you want to talk about business, and people are like, what the hell? It's like, Carrot Top coming out and going, I want to talk politics.
Right.
And he doesn't have like a goat on a hook with it.
Right.
Hey, what the hell is this? Huh?
This is an umbrella for parakeets. Yeah, no, it's no, like, what I would actually like to do around here would be announcing too, like ring announcing. Like I started doing that in Montana, and I had tons of people over there who were like willing to vouch for me, be like, yeah, dude, that's a great job, and I would love to do it as just to do it, number one, but probably get paid better down around these parts for it as well.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think fights are more prevalent here too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, and you can kind of parlay it into anything like boxing, kickboxing.
Right.
I even had one person ask me to do a derby of some kind, like a destruction derby, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I think it fell through, or I don't know. Anyway, never got it. But anyway, like you parlay into other things where it's like got that.
I think that would be a great job for you, dude.
Yeah, it would be.
You know a lot about what's going on. You're articulate. You're good on your toes. You worked in radio, so.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story though. The very first time I ended up doing announcing was kind of by accident. And I did radio before, but I didn't do actual like a lot of in-house like whatever announcing, which is a different story. And so this is bad weather in these fights, and the promoter Brian Dietz asked me, he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "I don't know how comfortable you are." He's like, "But I don't have an announcer because he can't get here. The roads are all a total wreck." He's like, "Do you feel comfortable doing it?" I said, "I did radio for like 2 years. I'm totally down."
Yeah.
So I gave it a try, and it went really well. I mean, it was of course kind of rough the first time around, but it went well. But I remember we were doing the biggest like snafu I had was we had the 50-50 ticket drawing where people buy the tickets and half goes to like a charity, or half goes to the winner or whatever. Okay. So if like there's $1,000, 500 goes to that person, 500 goes to the little kids, Taekwondo, whatever. And so we're in this place in Kalispell, Montana, and we have these fights in this rodeo arena, right? And the cage is like on dirt, like little. That was crazy. Nice. And so I'm in there, and I'm like, all right, gonna stir up the 50-50 tickets. Like I'm on the mic, and I go, all right, just gonna go ahead and reach around, and someone in the crowd yells out, "Reach around, yeah!" And like all these people just busted out laughing, and I go, and I just started laughing, and I just kind of held the mic over my face. I'm like, all right, like disregard that. I'm going to mix the tickets up and then pull a winning number.
That's awesome.
Yeah, freaks.
Yep.
No,
hecklers are great, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, that was that guy. That was actually funny though, because it was just. It was just the one thing, and then it was like, it was over. It was like a funny moment, and it was like, but yeah.
It's the thing I like about the Spit the Wit thing. If we get hecklers, they're typically never really, like, we can ignore them. Like, if somebody says something crass in the room, we can just be like, that never happened. So.
I'll tell you, the worst actual hecklers I've had doing that, every time, it was some just, like, wasted middle-aged woman. Just like giving me the hardest time in the world. I had this one lady tell me, she was like, you're the worst person in the world to do this job. She leans me down, she like motions for me in between fights. Yep. And you're the worst person in the world. I'm like, really? Like, I'm the worst? Like, I'm not your cup of tea. Like, okay, I get it, but
I'd rather see a bucket of shit up here than you. Yeah, I had the same thing. I had this chick that was a psychiatrist. And she freaking was a middle-aged drunken woman, and she came up, and it was during the middle of a karaoke show, and typically I play popular music in between people singing, but I don't like it to be too popular because I don't want to play something that somebody's going to actually want to sing.
Right.
And, that's gratuitous for the crowd, so they don't have to hear the same song twice, and also it's gratuitous for the person that wants to sing that song, so it's not like the original song just got played, and now I'm going to sing a shitty rendition of it. You know what I mean? So so she came up, and she, like, literally was like, look around. I mean, I've got a crowd full of people, dude. A crowd, like, 80-something people, and they're demanding to be up next. And she welcomes herself up to my turntables where I'm standing, and she goes, look around you. Do you think anybody here wants to hear the music that you're playing right now? And I'm like, well, actually, this
Matter
is
of fact, they're all here.
they're all here watching the show, and they're dancing.
Okay. We're in Las Vegas, and there's
Yeah.
300 other places playing music right now, so I think I'm doing okay.
And it's always some older, middle-aged, drunken woman that's trying to tell people how to do their job. I think that's pretty much protocol throughout the United States of America, actually.
This is the beginning of a rabbit hole that goes way beyond
Right,
anything.
this
right.
show is going
Right.
to take a turn.
This is gonna get really bad here.
And it's
Just
all
remember.
one woman. No, I'm kidding.
No,
It's
yes.
just been replicated.
I kind of feel like that might be true though, because it
Right.
feels like it's the same. Like they're wearing the same, like
Yeah, same outfit, same
outfit.
sandals.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
Same
goodness.
culottes.
Yeah, I don't.
It's that same lady.
Yeah, no. I had something else I was gonna say, but I'm gonna leave it
Okay.
where it is. I'm just
Okay.
gonna
That
leave
sounds
that
good.
dangling modifier.
Right. We don't want to. We don't want to. We don't want to humiliate all of our viewers.
Being like, we have one viewer left. Hello, Chad.
Speaking of which, Chad put a paragraph in the room. Let's see what he said. Every time I see you guys together, I think of that picture of us outside of the stratosphere before we got absolutely blasted. Alcohol buddies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a day.
That was a day, for sure.
That was a thing that happened.
Yeah,
That
you
was
know,
tough.
that was one of the last times I picked Chad up off the floor.
Right. The first time I saw him on the floor, I said, "I'm gonna go in this room."
Swimming in the crowd
Right.
of
Literally.
drunken people.
Yeah.
It was great.
How many people we got in the room right now? Just curious.
Like 72.
Oh wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh wow. I was gonna say
It's more like 7 to 2.
Yeah.
722. All right. 722 people. 722. This show blew up. I'm a celebrity.
It's going in and out from 7
Right.
to 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now you're at a steady 7, which is actually really good for the live broadcast because we never get
Yeah.
that many live viewers. Most of our viewers come afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So jumping back on a more topical thing we were talking about. So yeah, that's the MMA. I'd like to get a fight around here too, but I just don't know. I mean, I'd have to get into a gym and talk. I mean, because then they would have the networking. Because it's not
Right.
like it's a thing you have to kind of know who to talk to, and
Right.
you know what I mean. It's not like signing up for a payday loan. Like, don't go to a local MMA office and be like, "Hello, 170-pound fight in 4 weeks, please."
It should be that easy. Why not, right?
Some places when they run a little short on fighters, I've seen a couple people.
Be like, you're a little bit out of shape. Perhaps you'd like to join a beer drinking competition first.
Right. There was a guy. Somebody gave this guy my number. I don't even know. This was, I don't know, years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago in my hometown in Butte, Montana. And they gave this guy somehow he got my number. And I just get a text from a number I don't recognize. It says, "Where do I pick up my gloves?" And I'm like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, I'm like, "Who is this?" And he just wrote back his first name. I even forgot his first name. He's like, it's
Jim.
Jim.
Right.
Yeah, it's Jim. I'm like, "Jim who?" And so it turns out it's this kid that did end up taking a last minute fight. Like, we had a really popular hometown fighter named Zach Anderson who lost his opponent the last day. And so this kid stepped up that had been in like a couple like tough man, like, you know, bar brawl, like boxing matches, and but I don't know how he got my number. He thought that he's like, "Yeah, where do I go?" Like, and he's coming to me, he's like, "Yeah, how do I sign up?" I'm like, "Sign up 3 months ago." Like, this isn't pull somebody out of the crowd and like, this isn't the Kumite. We have rules here. Like,
Right.
so, but yeah, no, but yeah, so that I mean, that does happen though. It's when you have last minute people pull out and whatever, and so,
Right.
And you try, and when I was announcing too, I always try to give those people a shout out too, because sometimes, like, there was a guy that was a fighter, and he ended up doing a lot of the sound and lights. Like, he hadn't fought in like 2 years, but he'd come to the show and do like sound and lights, whatever. And this kid, the same thing, a local fighter lost his fighter within the last 4 hours, and he signed up to take it. And I try to give those people a shout out because it's hard. It's hard to do an MMA fight when you're prepared, let alone
Right.
I'm gonna go do this right now. You know, especially if you're not in shape, you're not in fight shape. Like, you can be in shape but not be in fight shape, and there's two different things, and it's a very different level to maintain. So I always try to give those people a shout out, and on the mic, and everybody appreciates it. And
Absolutely, dude. I think, giving credit where credit's due is something that's extremely important and something that people don't really do that often because most people are very self-centered and don't really consider other people. That's kind of why we even started Spit the Wit. Like, yes, it is about us, and yes, we are trying to do something with ourselves and better our lives, but we also want to draw attention to people that are trying to be seen and heard and stuff like that. So, giving credit where credit's due is something that happened that didn't happen for me a lot when I was younger. There was a lot of stuff that I worked on, a lot of projects that I worked on. That's kind of why the name Frankie almost was derived in the first place, was the fact that it came this close to getting somewhere and some asshole or whatever decided not to credit me for things or whatever.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
big major projects all the way up to Warner Brothers Records.
Right. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. No, and that's rough. And in the more casual office environment, which is something that more people can maybe relate to too, is that happens a lot too, where you're like, hey, we should do this, and like, it's a stupid idea. And then a week later you hear, we're gonna start doing this. Tom, the vice president, came up with this idea, and they rename it and they tweak it slightly. You're like, that was my idea. But then, it's just and I feel like that's the quickest way to lose people around you that can do good things for you.
Right, because now you've lost credibility.
To not give credit to and be like, hey, this is, so-and-so, and then incentivize them and be like, this is, and take care of them. And that's how you build a real team. And I feel like everyone is just like so involved in what's right in front of them that they're just not able to, and they're afraid of being overtaken. And here's the thing, though: some people forget that are like in charge, or they're in a position of management or whatever, that they forget that a lot of times, a lot of these people don't want to be in charge.
Right.
They just want to be. They just want to be like, hey, this is something that I want to think is a good idea, easier way to do it, and people go, that's a really good idea. Let's start doing that. Jim over here decided we should stop, calling people at 3 a.m. to sell our xylophone or whatever, and it's like, hey, it worked, and
right.
It's like, and they're so afraid, they're so threatened by that they're, and instead of creating an environment where that kind of stuff is encouraged and build a really strong thing,
right?
It just seems like more and more it's like that's just like frowned upon, and I think that's why you see so many entrepreneurs who do. Going out on their own and doing like, fuck this.
Right.
Like, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore.
Right.
That's where
you look at Asian companies, dude, and they prevail. There's not Mark Zuckerbergs of Korea, really, or Japan. It's a company. It's Samsung. It's, Hyundai.
Right.
And because they believe in that whole team thing, and that's the way it should be. There's too many people that are just so self-centered and want it all, and that's why we have the Bill Gates of the world and the frickin' Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, because you kind of envision, them, I mean, I don't know if you know the story about Facebook, but it kind of seemed like there was a really shady shit going on there, so that Mark Zuckerberg could be the Mark Zuckerberg that he is.
Right.
And
suddenly the podcast gets shut off.
Right, exactly. I mean, he knows it. I'm sure that, number one, he's never going to see this show, and if he did, he'd probably just be like, "Oh, you're a peasant, and I don't give a shit what you're saying anyway." So
maybe.
Yeah. So
till you get up to those 72 views, then
right,
start cracking down. Some lackey wants his approval is going to be like, "Mark, Mr. Zuckerberg." waving a piece of paper. Huh? I got the scoop right here.
Did you hear what Frankie almost said about you? What do you mean? He almost said it, or he did say it?
Almost said it. Who's on first? Oh my god.
Oh man. So, but yeah. So it's been a thing that I've dealt with a lot, and I'm sure most people have. But then again, some people are guilty of doing it as well. It's like. And it just kind of seems like it's almost like whenever like 3 bachelors meet a girl. Next thing you know, they're putting each other down.
Right.
Instead of being good wingmen and saying, hey, make a good choice. Yeah, Joey Murray actually does do this. He is actually an MMA fighter. He actually, won this many fights and blah, 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 blah. But instead, you've got the kind of guys that are just like, yeah, he's an MMA fighter, but he lost more than he won and shit like that, like trying to downplay everything that you do. And I just think it's bullshit. And it's become the American way, and it pisses me off.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth. So.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. And that actually... The business aspect of it actually just kind of works out a little bit, because this kind of segues into something else I wanted to kind of chat about. Is that is kind of why, I've decided, as you know, when we lived together, actually, I was basically working for myself, and that is, to me, the best thing because it's. I mean, you have to. There's a certain type of person has to be involved in that, and I feel like as I've kind of matured, I've gotten more to where I'm that person. Now that I've been there and had it kind of taken away from me, and been back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm going back in time.
Right.
Like it's almost like working for yourself and then going back to where you have to be a part of like a really regular company, very cookie cutter. It's very, it's like being drugged back into high school after being like 28.
Right.
Where you're starting to get over all that drama and all that stuff. You're like, oh, that was so stupid. I'm glad I don't do it. And then you have to go back and deal with it again.
Right.
Like a lot of people have.
And now your livelihood depends on it.
Right. And so that's why one of the things I was going to offer. I don't know if there's anyone listening right now that is into has their own entrepreneurial or any kind of startup thing, but basically getting into writing ad copy for businesses, writing ad copy for other entrepreneurs, and helping them with their marketing and with actually doing things that make sense to make them more sales without actually having to be shady or work more.
Right.
Is kind of what I'm going to start going into. And one of the things I'm going to be offering with that is because I've written copy for businesses that I worked for before, did a few things back when I was a broker, a few things for websites, nothing ever really officially in a capacity that I could kind of be like, and now it's all, a lot of it's been so far ago that it's kind of gone in the ether of old internet. And so I'm basically going to be rebuilding kind of a portfolio. And in order to do that, I'm going to be working for free, basically. Right. So anyone out there that listens to your show, and then I know you rehost these videos, so this is live, but if someone replays it and watches it later, anyone, and this isn't just strict limited to Vegas. If you're in Vegas area, perfect. If not, perfect, because this isn't something that I have to do face-to-face. But basically, I'll be looking to do, and everything is free, but even when I get rolling to where I have paying clients and whatever, I'm going to be basically doing a free consultation where I'm going to be like, listen, what are you trying to sell? What are you trying to do? And we'll kind of figure out, and that first initial consultation is going to be if I can do anything for you. Because again, kind of coming from that place of honesty, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I'll do this and I'll reframe your website this way. You're going to
give me a deposit
and just give so that'll be the initial consultation, and then once we get to a point where like, yeah, I can actually help you, I can actually make this make more sense.
Right.
And I'll give you an example of like what there's like a redundancy within certain sales and businesses that happen all the time. And I'll give you a perfect example of a place that I used to work for where there was the risk department of the business did not want to really do any more business in a certain area. Basically, they're just like pricing themselves out of the market. Like they're offering it, but it's so expensive, we really don't want your business here in this area. But then the marketing department wasn't talking to that department and saying, hey, we're just going to send out flyers. And so they're sending out flyers, and these people are calling in like, yeah, I'm interested in, and you tell them what the price is. They're like, that's ridiculous. And so you have this, and then you're getting like 5% conversion rate, if that. Which, I mean, if you're doing like cold calling, that's okay. That's an okay number. If you're doing direct marketing to qualified people, then you're not. You're that's terrible. That's not really that good if you're doing qualified leads.
Right.
And that's the other thing too, is like not only just helping people write their copy, write their ads, whatever, just like rewording it. Here you go. That'll be $1,000, please. I want to be able to go look. Who's your ideal person? Like who's your ideal buyer for this thing? Like how do we target those people and save you a lot of time and save other people's time?
Right.
Because that's the other thing too. I've worked in sales a lot, and there's a lot of times like you pitch everybody.
Yeah.
And
it's not
sell it
accurate.
to everybody.
Yeah, it's not accurate.
It's not. It's totally inaccurate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
target audience is a main factor in everything too.
And I mean, I get being able to you do want to not lose all that business, but at the same time, that should be an afterthought. I think it's just the way that I've thought for a long time. I don't know if you've read a book called it's called like the 80-20 rule. Something like that. I have not. No. We should read it. It's really interesting. Even if you're not into like business or whatever, it's kind of focused on that. But it's basically about how they found that like, in like selling something or doing anything, really, they say, oh, you do equal amounts of time for you don't. That's not the way to do things. The way is to find the things that are leveraging and giving you the best benefits for the least amount of work and the least amount of effort, and you pour more into that, and then everything else kind of gets put on the back burner. You still do it. but you kind of put everything else in the back burner.
Right.
And so that's part of my philosophy too, is that, when meeting with these people for this, so, be like, what's going to make sense, especially if they already have sales numbers. That'll be perfect. Be like, who's buying it right now?
Mm-hmm.
Who's buying this thing right now? And how do we get more of those people? We'll get the other ones too, as we can, but let's focus on what's actually like making money and making sense.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
But yeah, so I'll be doing that. I'll be offering that for free. And then if anyone who's interested in that kind of thing, just hit me up on my. I'm tagged on this broadcast.
Yeah.
Broadcast. But yeah, just shoot me a message on Facebook. Be like, hey, listen, I'm interested in getting some copy done, or getting some of this, maybe reformatting this app, even just the look of it, just like doesn't look right. Like, I can help out with that. And then the only thing I offer in exchange is you just let me use it as an example of my work. That's it.
So to put in like a
portfolio.
Portfolio.
Yeah, just that's the only thing is to be like.
Chester Smith said, "Joey, just start selling protein powder on Instagram like any real entrepreneur." And then he said, hashtag Joey Fit. And he actually said that a while ago, but I'm going to let people in the room know whenever you comment. I'm going to let Joey finish his point before I interrupt him with quips like that. So.
Yeah,
but yeah,
no, he's accurate, Mr. Smith. Yeah, no, that's if you're following like the fitness people on the Instagram, they're like, a little bit. It's a lot. There's a lot. Like I follow a lot of them because
it's always like wraps and shit like that, wraps and protein powder and stuff like that.
Yeah, I even got 2 and 3 people on Facebook. They're like, I have this thing that I do every day. And It's changed my life. And I mean, if it is, great.
That's great. It reeks of like pyramid scheme MLM shit to me though. A lot of that stuff.
This is getting a little off topic.
It's hard to decipher for me what's real and what's not anymore.
You know what's? I think that's kind of the point too.
Yeah, right.
Did you ever watch this is a little bit off topic, but based off what you just said, there's a documentary called Hyperrealism by the BBC. You have to watch it.
Oh yeah.
Basically talks about how how there's so much information coming out. We're like, no, this is fake news. No, this is fake.
Right.
And and people don't know what's actually the truth ananymore.
Right.
That's actually a strategy. It's actually a strategy
to keep you blind.
Keep people totally off base,
Right.
off balance.
Yep.
It's called Hyperrealism, by the way, for the intellectuals.
Right up my alley, dude.
Yeah.
I need to see that like big time.
It's by the guy. It's the Adam Curtis, the guy that does like the Power of Shadows and the Power of Nightmares, whatever. Yeah. It's a really good documentary. But anyway, going back to that point, a lot of the fitness powder things and whatever. Like I said, if it works for you and you're actually like, hey, this works, and I'm making some money on the side, whatever.
Right.
But there was one, I'm not going to say a name because I know some people that are still into it, but there was one, it's like, oh yeah, this is great, and I took it and it made me feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like it was like, and I looked at it and it was like mostly like soy.
Mostly morphine. I can't function.
Right. This is meth. No.
Try this new protein rock.
Man, I ran for like 47 hours and then I slept for a week. I don't know about this.
This is going to sell.
Yeah. Hashtag who needs teeth?
Oh my God. So Chad asked if you're still living in Montana or are you back in Nevada?
No, I've been back in Vegas since October. No, September.
September, I think, yeah.
So,
You're not going anywhere anytime soon, right?
Got another 3 or 4 years minimum, and then I'm getting the hell out of this whole situation called the U.S. This place is screwed, man.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I hear you, man. And it doesn't matter if you're left, right, a Trump fan or not. This place is screwed.
You know what's funny is that either side of the political spectrum is just screwing things up more.
Right.
Because while what I'm afraid of the most isn't the direct fallout as a result of like what Trump is doing, but I'm afraid of the political swing in the other direction.
Right.
Because there's this like if you go on to like younger people like internet forums, there's like this belief that like, Bernie Sanders is coming back in 2012 and the Democrats are going to save everybody, and it's like they're both screwing us over. Like they're both screwing
Both
it up.
Sides are,
and they're just it's like the same arm of the different.
Right, exactly. It's like it's a facade of a wrestling show, is what it is. It's like it's the whole facade of join this guy or this guy and root for this guy or this guy. And meantime, they're behind deciding that we're going to have to start taxing air and shit like that. They're like, hey, what's Trump doing? I don't know. I hate that son of a bitch so much. It's like Clinton, Hillary, blah blah blah, and they're like, tax air,
passing bills like
make Americans pay for air and water.
It's not even a joke though.
Yeah.
Like I know you're kidding, but like it doesn't even get to where it would shock me if they tried to do something like that.
Well, that's pretty much what they are doing, in my opinion, and it isn't funny, but we laugh at things we're scared of. I mean, we laugh at death. We make funny jokes about dying and stuff like that. Oh my God.
It actually keeps me awake at night to the point where I'm like, I'll start to think about it, and I'll be like, oh my God, what if they crack down before I'm ready to move out of the country, and then they shut, because they are making now they're making new rules about like, oh, you can't give up your citizenship if they decide that you owe the government money, and they don't have to actually prove that you owe them money.
Wow.
They just have to say you owe the IRS money. You wear the documents. Oh well, we don't have them right now, but your passport's revoked and you can't go anywhere. You're stuck here. And what's interesting is Jim Rogers, who's was one of the original big money guys with George Soros, but he split ways with him, and now he's like this total kind of opposite, where he's like very small government, whereas Soros is like this neoliberal world, and Jim Rogers picked up and moved out of the country in the mid 2000s. And this is a guy who has made hundreds of millions of dollars accurately predicting world trends. The timing of his predictions has sucked, but his overall long term, he was right in the end. And in 2005 or 2006, he picked up and moved to China.
Scary shit.
He's like, I'm out of here. Yeah. And he said that I went to a conference that he was at here in Vegas back then, and he goes, they're going to make it, he goes, the Euro's going to fail. Mm-hmm. The European Union is going to fail, which is what it's doing right now. Mm-hmm. He says it's going to take about 10 years, 15 years, but the European Union is going to fail. He says, and then he says they're going to make it harder to get out of the country to the point where they're going to start not letting people out.
Right.
Because they need that money.
Right.
Of the
We're
people,
enslaved without knowing it. Yeah.
People are going to see, because this is the thing right now, the stock market's up, real estate's back up, and everyone's kind of like glazing over like, oh, it's okay, it's different this time, nothing's going to happen.
Maybe we should go to Disneyland next year.
And I mean, you think that the craziness against Trump is bad now. Wait till the economy takes another dump. And it's coming. It's coming. Yeah. I don't know how soon. It might take as long as 2 years.
Right.
But there's going to be another big, nasty economic event. The stock market has gone up for like 8 years in a row without a correction. That's never happened. That's scary. The index, the profit to earnings index of the stock market, it's only been, the adjusted index is only been at this rate 2 other times. 2008 and before the crash in 1929. Oh, and before the tech bubble boom.
Wow, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's all in the background. It's all floating in the background. Right. Everyone's like, Russia and, whatever else stupid thing that they're worried about. And just be like, whatever other dumb
risen
thing.
To a really big collapse.
And it's all in the background. And I'll bet you the people who are actually in like the Fed and in like the government, they're crunching these numbers and they're probably dying of stress at like 42 because it's so bad. It's so bad. Like if you do a lot of reading on it, like you start. I mean, if you don't know numbers that well, you know basic math. You can look at the numbers.
Right. I honestly, I used to be caught up in looking into things, and I couldn't sleep. Literally, could not sleep at night. I was nervous 24 hours a day. And the more I read, the more I was scared. So I started putting blinders on.
Right.
Not so much as like some people that I know. I have family members that and friends that are literally like, there's nothing I can do about it, so I'm going to Disneyland. I don't give a shit kind of thing. And I'm not that much about it, but I understand that mentality because I literally feel like there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, it's good to be aware of it, but not to.
Well, there's nothing you can do and stay here.
Right.
Nothing you can do and stay here.
Right.
I think if you're under the age of 30. Especially if you like don't have kids, you don't have a lot of ties here. I think get the hell out of this country. I'm not even. It's not, and I don't think it's an option. I think it's if you want to. It's not going to be Mad Max where we're running around shooting each other for gasoline.
Right.
But it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be really bad. I mean, look at civil forfeiture where it's already at, where they can just take whatever they want. They just do that, and they're starting to ban cash now. They're not doing it here as much. There's certain branches of Citibank.
Dude, let me tell you something. The most freaking bizarre thing happened to me in the world, and I don't give a crap who says what, or if somebody tries to freaking sue me, but this is an actual fact. Nevada State Bank, okay?
Okay.
I had opened up an account with them, and her and I were going on our freaking anniversary vacation. I took $100 bill to my bank and said, will you please put this in my account because I have to purchase or put a deposit for a hotel on my card. And they said it will be available in 24 hours. Cash.
Yeah, it's your money, and they make it feel like they're doing you. We're doing you a favor, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, don't raise your voice, sir. We're doing you a favor by holding. Yeah,
I threw my freaking card and I left. I might close my account with them.
Get a credit union.
Yeah.
Yeah,
gone.
Get a credit union. I mean, credit union is the last bastion of being able to bank like a normal person anymore.
Yeah,
they're getting rid of the Volcker rule. Trump's going to get rid of that, which was part of the after crisis.
What is the Volcker rule?
So it has different connotations to it, but basically it's a rule where it kept the banks from doing major proprietary trading, like taking your money and gambling with it. Basically, after the 2008, they're like, you guys couldn't be responsible with this. We passed this rule, and now they're like, oh, this is crushing our business. Never mind that they've made like record profits during the recovery or whatever, but they're making this thing where it's like, so they're trying to get rid of it. Like the Trump administration, his Treasury Secretary is like, oh, we're going to review it and see if it's necessary. And so that's probably going away. And then another aspect of the rule is that they have a really candied up term for it, but they said the gradual siphoning off of the illiquid assets. The bad paper that came out of the crisis is still on the books in the banks, but because of the accounting rules that they're allowed to do, they're allowed to show that this is still worth what we paid for it, but it's not.
Right.
It's all based on all these houses are gone, these loans are gone, everything that was backed
falsely
behind
inflated
is gone. Yeah. The underlying loans are gone because people couldn't afford them. The market collapsed. But they still have the paper, but they're allowed to show this is $1,000 right here. This is $1,000 because I say it is.
Right.
And people don't know. A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
Because they see the banks look healthy. They're not healthy. They're still in bad shape.
Right.
And now they're like, oh, we want to go back and leverage even more. We want to go back to what we were doing. And I think
what a lot of people don't realize about banks is, if you put it on in really layman's terms, that you go to a bank, you deposit $1,000.
Right.
What they eventually do is they loan that $1,000 out in sections.
Right.
I mean, it's not 1,000. We're talking tens of thousands, but to make it easier for everybody, and you put it in the figure of 1,000. They end up ultimately turning that $1,000 into $10,000 by reloaning it on money that doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, to go back to another point I was going to make about the cash thing, we were talking about the cash thing, right? So there are certain branches of Citibank that don't take cash at all anymore. In countries in Europe, in France, and in Spain, you buy something over 1,000 euros or franc, it's legal. It's legal to pay cash for something over 1,000 euros or francs or whatever in France.
Really?
In Spain, it's like 1,500. A lot of places in Australia have stopped taking cash in the bank. And what's interesting is you want to hear something crazy. So in India, I think India, and this is going to sound, you know how I am. I'm not very conspiracy theory. The reptilians are coming.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not that kind of person. But I think India is kind of being in the background run as kind of like a proving ground for like a new system. Because what they're doing is they eliminated all of the upper, currency denominations. Right? Like our $100 bill in India for their currency doesn't exist anymore. They just took it off and said, these don't count anymore, turn them in. You only get like fives and ones. And you know when they, listen to this.
Scary, dude.
You know when they chose to implement that, when they chose to do that? U.S. Election Day. Who's going to pay attention to what's going on with India's money during the Trump, Clinton,
They've always done stuff
Royal
like
Rumble,
that, though, dude.
And it's like okay, that's a little weird, and and so they did that, and it caused calamity. There's still to this day a massive fallout of people not being able to use and they want to be able to hang on to your money, and then just leave it in the bank. It's good. We'll just process it and charge our fees and do our thing. but just it's there. And the way they're selling it is the same way they sold the Homeland Security crap, the same thing they do with the drugs crap. They go, oh, well, the guy that ran over those people in Europe in the truck, he had $1,000 cash on him. He's a terrorist. So if you have a lot of cash, that must mean that you're a terrorist. That's how they're selling
creepy,
it.
Dude. That's so creepy.
After 9/11, I was like,
why don't you lean into your microphone there, ma'am?
I don't want to bump it. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, say some stuff,
Just
man.
sitting
You haven't
here,
said
like-
anything for a long time.
Mouthing stuff at the camera.
So, you were afraid of what now, Jess?
After 9/11, I was wondering if they were going to start, doing all kinds of stuff like closing the borders. You're not allowed to leave the country, and are they going to start like trying to control?
I got you. I wanted it that loud. Now you're as loud as we are.
Okay.
Kick up.
Trying to control the money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, control the food, control the money. You control the nation and the people. So,
but that's where I'm into. So that's the other thing too. Is I think if you're listening to this, if you have all your money in a bank, in a major bank especially, start. I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying go out and hoard guns and ammunition and build a bunker in your backyard.
Right.
But
not a bad idea. But
it'd be smart to have some cash. Smart to have some gold. Like the physical demand right now for gold and silver is down, like way down right now for some reason. It's like artificially depressed, which is interesting. But yeah, like silver's like super cheap right now compared to where it should be in relation to gold. And then cryptocurrencies are another thing.
Like Bitcoin, shit like that.
Bitcoin, I think it's like an ethereal coin or something like that. It's another one that's I wouldn't buy them right now because I think that they're in a bubble from a Ponzi scheme. But yeah, because have you seen a chart of Bitcoin? It's like this. No. It's a straight line up for like months.
Oh, jeez.
And I've had some people try to get me onto these things, and I look them up, and I go to look up the information, and they don't tell you what they're doing. They just say, just give us money, and we'll double your Bitcoin, and we'll do this. And they say, oh, it's working. And people say, oh, it's working. I've made money. I go, yeah, but they're not telling you how they're doing it. And 9 times out of 10, anytime someone takes your money and doesn't tell you what they're doing, and you get these massive returns, it's a Ponzi scheme. So... but I think long term, I think like cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and stuff like that are going to be a good deal.
This is jargon that I don't understand, but I'm going to read it. Okay, so Sanjo, Dugdale. Okay, thank you. Dugal. No, he said, tell everyone to buy Hecla mining plugs.
Oh,
what is that?
Hecla is a mining stock. I still haven't. He sent me a thing on it. I honestly didn't read it. Sorry, Sandro. I forgot to read it. But no, it's a mining stock. I think they mine silver. He can elaborate maybe more in the comments a little bit. But yeah, it's like a mining stock. I mean, and again, it's not a thing where I think that we're all screwed. I think the U.S. is just like it's hit this tipping point where. Let's pretend that everything quote unquote rights itself and all the Bernie Sanders people get what they want and those people move into office. They still want more government. They still want more. Right. What was it? There was a survey that came out a few months ago, and it was the record high number of people want more government in their life since the survey was started like 20 years ago. It was like the record high. Hate speech. When you ask Americans if they support banning hate speech, the number is 28%. When you take the number and you put only the young people in that equation, the number is closer to 50%.
Right.
And hate speech is a very ambiguous term.
Right.
They're doing things in Europe and Canada where it's like even after this latest thing with the Ariana Grande concert, there was an article that people were getting arrested for anti-Islamic tweets. It's like, yeah, they're going to be a little bit pissed off about a guy that blew up, in the name of Allah. It might be misguided or whatever, but you don't make people smarter and stronger by making them by suppressing what they say. You let them say what they need to say, and then you filter it out. And you teach people to critically think. You don't teach them to be
What they instead do with the statistics, though, is they like proverbially gerrymander the freaking results.
Right.
And that's what people don't understand.
What's interesting about the American election, too, is that there were so many things about Trump that the polling that was at least somewhat reliable was completely wrong. It was totally wrong. It was off by a tremendous amount, and there was no way he should have won by these metrics and these things they've used. So there's old things that aren't working the way they used to anymore either in terms of like personality and what people are going to do. People's predictability is going away a little bit in
Exactly.
certain terms.
Exactly. For those of you that don't know what gerrymandering is basically whenever a county or something is trying to pass a law, and it's illegal, by the way, this gerrymandering thing, you can look it up. You basically, you'll extend your county lines in order to get more people to vote for your things and stuff like that. It's completely illegal. And when I said proverbially, meaning that people, they'll take statistics and they will alter the statistics in order to make them suit their agenda. So I just, me and you get into heavy topics. You're a lot more intelligent about this kind of stuff than I am, but I like to make sure that everybody's getting a piece of what we're talking about.
Right.
So,
yeah. No, it's totally understandable, and I get going on this stuff lately, and I just kind of get rolling.
Right.
And I try to bring that down to I try to bring that again, same thing with going back to the business stuff. That's how I like to present my thing, is go, imagine this. I know if it's more of an abstract thing, be like, imagine that this is what's going to happen. For example,
Right.
the student loan debt. Student loan debt right now is more than the housing bubble debt.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
People will be like, oh, it's that bad right now.
Right.
Or the default rate is the same
Right.
too. It's what's going to happen there? Where is that money going to come from? And that's
Exactly.
the other reason that I have a bank right now. I'm with a major bank, but it's only for getting bills paid and doing things exponentially.
They've made it impossible for you to live with that one.
When I start diversifying out of things, though, when I start getting to that level of capital and what have you, I'm going to be, putting it other places. I'm going to be probably open a bank account in Hong Kong. They're making it easier over there to open bank accounts for foreigners.
Right.
There's just other stuff like that you can do, that you can research and read about, to just kind of expand your horizons and think outside of the box. Because
Yeah. And that's what the problem is. They dumbed us down. They did so many things to us, and I'm not going to get really conspiratorial about it, but they basically made us stupid. And they kept us fighting with each other on silly battles and topics that don't matter, like Trump versus Hillary and freaking who's the latest pop star and the crap that they went through and through some kind of psychopathic fit and all this kind of stuff, which her and I totally believe are plotted things in order, because what they do is they actually. It always ends up being on things like Michael Jackson's death, Prince's death, things that are major turning points in pop culture. They use those because they know that those are highly influential people, and they use those days and those times to pass laws.
Yep.
And so that is an actual thing. If you look at the correlation of laws that have been passed to celebrities that have died and things that have happened in mainstream media, you can see that a lot of things that you probably didn't know got passed, like he was talking about the India thing.
That's just an easy. It's
a diversionary tactic. He's using it forever.
It's an easy, simple way to pay attention, to be a little bit smarter about what's going on, is when something has the spotlight, especially for an extended amount of time. Look at what else is going on in the government, or what bill are they passing, or what thing they're trying to do, or what military thing is happening right now that's.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a sleight of hand. It's an illusionist. It's look over here, and then this one's taking money out of your pocket, kind of deal.
Right.
And
exactly.
Yeah, and I don't believe that's a conspiracy. I believe that's a
tactic.
pretty valid. That's a pretty valid
Red flags
concern.
and stuff,
Right.
yeah.
Sanjo's he put a whole paragraph in here, so I'm going to do my best to try not to butcher this. He said, primarily silver miner with lots of gold exposure. They cover a good portion of their loss using base minerals that are mined in large quantities. During the extraction of silver and gold, solid balance sheet and their gold and silver reserves per share rise with acquisitions.
So basically, the simplified version is it's a solid, financially stable company that's in the silver and gold mining industry that's probably going to be around for a while. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So break that down in even more layman's terms for me.
So basically, and the way I understand what you're saying is it's going to be basically purchase stock or purchase, things involved in that are, because it's going to be that's the other thing too. Look for things that are tangible. And I mean by that, something you can kind of, that actually has real value to it. Something that actually means something. Like if it really hit the fan, what would this be valuable type thing.
So like fidget spinners.
Yeah, fidget spinners and Oh my gosh. We were just talking about that before broadcast too, how they literally have people to where they're like,
It's spinning.
it's like,
Look at it. It goes
like
round.
the country's on fire. No, but look at it.
Look, my wife is an adorable creature, and she likes the little spinny thing, so I have to like it too by default. So, because seeing her enjoy
because you just do that.
it is something that
Like
I
when you-
will say this, that it is important, even if you're somebody that's highly intelligent, to every once in a while do something completely mundane and stupid
yeah, that you don't have to
and
think about.
reset your
It's great.
brain.
No,
because-
yeah, and that's the thing. You don't have to be like this guy all the time, like where you're at, somewhere playing volleyball and having a few drinks and being like, but the Federal Reserve, don't you
Right.
people care?
Right.
Like, no
There's
one
no
likes
gold in
yeah.
Fort Knox. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no one
Right.
likes that guy. Like, yeah, learn to relax for sure. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
don't be all over the place like that. But just be smart. Just be aware of it. Don't let it rule your life. Don't let it kill you. But just be aware of it. And be smart.
Yeah.
And that's what part of what I'm going to be trying to do on an individual level too with this business thing, with this copywriting and marketing, is be like, how can I help you get to where you're not as reliant on corporate pensions and
Right.
government giving you Social Security, which is not going to happen.
Right.
Not going to be Social Security. Government pensions are gone. Like, it's just, that's all empty. But they're doing some, speaking of BS things they're doing, they have a couple other things they're trying to do, like one called the Save Up Act, and then
Okay.
another one and then there's like a MIRA that Obama did, which is already in effect, I think. And they're like basically these savings accounts that they do through your employer, but they're optional to a degree, but they're basically kind of more and more like, oh, you should probably do it. And pretty soon it's going to be, oh, if your employer doesn't do it, we'll just fine them a little bit, like $100 per employee per day. Something like that, to where you're like, and then you're giving them more of your money, because what's going to happen is they can't bail anything out. Social Security, banks, that's the other elephant in the room, like with the world situation, is that the next time this all goes down the tubes, and it's going to, there's no bailout this time. They can't do it. They actually can't do it.
Right.
And that's what I said. These people have got to be losing sleep at night, being like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do?" Because there is nothing.
We'll just print more money.
They're
Right.
they can't. They're gonna cause, because what the other banking systems are doing, they're starting to work. There's actual banks, like banks, setting up what's called blockchain, which is basically cryptocurrency, to get around using the U.S. banking system as we speak. There's already like 20 or 30 major foreign banks that are doing this.
Right.
Because the U.S. is also penalizing people in other countries for not following our rules, and they're tired of it. They're tired of us printing out money, and they're like, we don't want to deal with it anymore. And China's been working on this for like 15 years at least, if not longer, getting out of having to be tethered to our dollar and whatever. So what I'm saying is that they're gonna basically, the short version is they can't do any of that, so they're gonna do what's called bail in, where they're like, okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to take more of your money that you're getting from your job to put in, because you have to do this because this is your civic duty to prop up all this other stuff.
Right.
They're going to do it with Social Security. They're going to do it probably with whatever next financial crisis. They're probably going to do it with your bank account in those major banks. You have
Right.
$1,000 in savings, and due to not wanting to be too insolvent, we're going to give you access to 30% of it.
Yeah.
We're going to be generous like that type deal.
Thank you, Federal Reserve Act.
Right?
It's all right. It's all coming. It's all coming, going away soon.
Well, let's see. It's in 1913. It's been over 100 years now that the Federal Reserve Act was passed and enslaved the people of America.
We know what's interesting is when they, if you look at a chart, right? People who want to like look this up at home and like do any more, like they're into this kind of stuff, like read up on this. If you look at a chart of when the income gap went ka-choo, and then like the top percent people just went up and up, and your wage workers kind of flatlined.
Right.
Where that split happened, it happened in the early 1970s. What happened in the early 1970s? We went off the silver standard. The dollar was just worth whatever we said it was, and everyone was so stuck to it that they're just stuck with that. So really, the total fiat currency thing is only 40 years old. Right around there, 40-some years old.
Yeah.
And I think it's and the only reason it's worked as long as it has is because everybody was tied into it when it started.
Right.
It's just the way it was set up, and it was too difficult to unwind. It's like, we'll see how it goes, and it's not going well. So I think it's an experiment that we'll see end in our lifetime, which is going to be, the consequences of which are going to be
Right.
not good for
Yeah,
people
it's,
here.
like I said, man, the more I think about it, the more I can't sleep. So,
It's better to just play with fidget spinners.
I noticed that you had brought some notes here, some cliff notes. What else did you want to talk about?
Well, I was kind of tying into that stuff, so
yeah.
I mean, we hit most of that. I mean, I pretty much anything else. I had more stuff here, and I'm reading like some of the stuff I highlighted is basically like what we've already been talking about, but the rest of it's like doom and gloom. Like we'll all be eating each other by September. Like so I think I've sufficiently gone down that road enough to where most people are.
We're at 59 minutes, almost an
exactly?
hour. Almost exactly, dude. 59 minutes and 25 seconds.
Nice.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's just doing this like JRE format and just letting it go until whenever?
Sometimes, yeah. We did one episode one time that was like an hour and 37 minutes or something like that. So, we limited ourselves. We wanted it to be more like what people are used to, and stuff like that. That's why we constantly did the same time, Tuesdays and Fridays, regardless of what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
We were here at 6 p.m. If we, whether or not, somebody ended up going to the hospital that day or whatever, we never missed a day until we took our vacation. So.
Right. Yeah. No, I would think, and I mean, just maybe as a suggestion too, maybe that would be another possible change up too. Be like, look, like the show is what it is, and if this person comes in and they hey, this is what I'm about, and this is what I have to do, and it's 45 minutes, all right, well, have a nice day.
Yeah, we definitely don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and then or if it's something that turns into an interesting conversation and it goes really cool demonstrations or a lot of people in the room, be like, all right, I'm just gonna keep going.
I think there's a lot of information that's been happening in this conversation. That's why I was asking you if you had any other topics you wanted to touch. Because I wouldn't mind extending it if you wanted to talk about, I don't know.
Well, let's
those
see.
inflatable dolls or something. I don't know.
Let's see. No, just basically, like I said, I mean, it was mostly the stuff just backing a further kind of a not so hot. I think there's two big giant elephants in the room with American society right now. Number one is this, what we've already talked about, and I'm not going to.
I think Americans are big giant elephants.
Right. That's. I said more fries.
Why'd they get rid of supersize?
Oh no! You know what? Okay, I'm gonna on the being fat topic. I'm gonna diverge on that real quick. I went to Nathan's I think it's like Nathan's hot dogs in the MGM.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I ordered. It was $17. But I ordered a Philly cheesesteak with bacon. Mm-hmm. All right, so this is like the most fattening sounding sandwich.
Sounds great, yeah.
It was honestly one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life.
Yeah.
I was with Alicia and I was telling her, I was like, never bring me here again. I'm like, because I'll order this every time. I'll miss wait for a fight to happen.
Speaking of Alicia, she did say I'm in for another 30. Alicia Fontaine.
Alicia?
Yeah.
Take your pills, Alicia.
Alicia. Is it Alicia? Did she go
it's
by
Alicia.
Alicia?
It's Alicia.
See, I have a friend that spells her name almost the exact same way. It's an S instead of an A at the end.
Girl names are
she
tough.
Calls her Alicia.
Girl names are hard.
Yeah.
Because they're spelled 25 different ways.
Girls are very meticulous, and they will claw your fucking eyes out if you say something wrong.
That was just...
Wow.
Girls are awful.
Awful creatures that should be silenced on radio shows and just look pretty and show cleavage and shut up.
Back in my day, dinner was ready by now.
How is dinner going to be ready when you're sitting here?
You're sitting here. I didn't see you got to turn on the oven. I like how every time we're just idiots. We're from the 50s.
Right.
All of a sudden, we're those fast talking.
It's like actually more like 30s.
Yeah,
40s,
30s, 40s.
Yeah.
Suppose I'm tired of supposing, fixing to start figuring. Yeah.
Yeah, see? It's like our whole comedy routine on our channels thing that we did way back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Do you know that was...
Gazoing!
Dude, no, now we're all too happy, so I don't want to go back to what I was talking about because it's depressing.
No, go back to depressing. I'm done with that.
No, I was just going to say the elephant in the room thing with the economy being one, and then the freaking opium addiction in this country.
Yeah.
Have you even followed that at all?
The opiate addiction? Or opium specific?
Opiate.
Okay, opiates.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh, yeah, it's really bad.
And they're trying to crack down on it.
They're trying to crack down. They're cutting people off. They've strung everybody out, and now they're telling everybody no more drugs, and people are fucking flipping out in the streets, basically.
Right, so Big Pharma, who killed Chris Cornell, by the way, thanks for that.
Right.
That was nice. Did you hear about that, right? With the
I did
Ativan?
not hear the entire thing about that.
So basically, he killed himself. You know that part.
Mm-hmm.
But he was on a bunch of Ativan for anti-anxiety type stuff. and he had maybe taken a little too much or didn't mix right with something he ate or something, and he was just out of his mind.
Either way,
Ativan?
it's a great
Ativan,
it's a great commercial for Ativan. Huh?
That's a benzodiazepine.
That is a benzodiazepine.
And typically, like, I still don't think the guy actually just up and killed himself. So.
Yeah. Okay. Continue.
No, but so my understanding of it is that he was on that, and even his wife was like, he called me, he wasn't himself, he was acting weird during the concert. Like, I read a online account supposedly from a security guard that was in the concert. Like, people were gone. There was like 8 people left hanging out, and he was just standing there playing guitar, like swinging around like back and forth, like all messed up. So, but anyway, so yeah, it's interesting that. And that's another thing. I don't think people. We go to big banks or whatever. I don't think people realize too how big of a reach that big pharma has.
Oh yeah.
And they can just do whatever they want.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so interesting to me how these commercials like, this is a pill that makes you a little bit less sad on Wednesday. Your heart might stop. You might, like all this other stuff.
Yeah. All you have to do is listen to the side effects of any fucking pill commercial,
and it's
you'll know
okay.
It's crooked. Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah, it's
no
fine.
one goes.
May
no one
make
goes,
your eye fall out of your asshole.
And right. And there's still people.
I want to take some of that. There's only a slight chance that might happen.
So I woke up this morning.
I won't have tooth pain. I won't have normal tooth pain.
Yeah, well, and the thing was, the one that killed me the most, did you see the commercial for the thing that helps you not be constipated as a result of being on opiates? It's like,
yes,
you're taking too much opiate? Just take this other pill for the poop. And it's like, wait, how about we just not give people a bunch of fucking opiate?
Right.
Like, how about, I don't know, again, how that's okay, and there's still people who are like, oh, I shouldn't be smoking weed. Shouldn't be smoking that plant that comes out of the ground naturally and kind of makes you hungry and want to hang out with your friends and play video games. That's bad news. By the way, here's a pill for your anxiety that causes your toes to fall off.
Right.
I don't understand.
It's ridiculous, dude. They've gotten away with a lot of shit. There was also a guy, I don't know if we're going to end up in a ditch for saying this, but there was a guy that was demonized for buying a drug that was helping AIDS patients.
Yeah,
was it AIDS?
So. Yeah, it was an AIDS
and was helping AIDS patients, and he made it where it was completely unaffordable. He was some little 35-year-old billionaire, and he had more money
Martin
than
Shkreli.
God. Yeah.
Yep.
And it turns out what he was actually trying to do was stop people from taking it because the pill was medicine was killing people. And he was trying to stop that from happening. So they demonized him and made him look like a horrible human being.
He's got to be one of the most divisive people in that whole industry right now, because he's like, you see people who are still on that kick where they're really against him. But if you actually, he posts these things where he talks on like a he's doing his market stuff and he's talking on a camera.
Right.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's absolutely brilliant. For better or for worse, I haven't personally made a judgment yet, because I was in that same where I was like, that guy's an asshole.
Right.
And now I'm like, maybe I'll back off on that and see if he actually is, or what he's trying to do.
Right.
And the thing is that he did bring it to the forefront where they're like, how are people getting away from this? If you ever notice, now every time they do that, and then it shows up in the news. Hey, this pill that was $40 a month for diabetics and helps them do this is now $2,000 a month.
Right.
And it shows up in the news all the time. And that didn't really start until he did it. So, I mean, I don't know. That's maybe it's a stretch to defend him on that regard. I don't know, but
in my opinion, I don't want to jump on one side or the other, but to trust big pharma, who puts pills out there that will make your eye fall out of your asshole, I would probably rule in favor of the billionaire. But yeah, I wouldn't do it blindly. But it does make perfect sense when I heard the opposite side of the coin, and heard it explained to me that they do that intentionally. It makes perfect sense to me. That the media demonizes people in order to make push their agenda and to help support their agenda. So
yeah. What's interesting is that people, and on that topic too of the opiate and of the opium, right? Mm-hmm. People wonder why, like we're sending in more troops into Afghanistan. Well, it's like, what's going on there? Like, didn't we get that under control? Like, isn't Osama bin Laden been dead for a while?
Right.
Isn't all that? And if you do the math, though, it's something like 93% of the world's opium fields come out of Afghanistan. And when we went in and invaded,
I didn't know that. Okay.
When we went in and invaded to catch Osama, there was a huge spike in the opium production.
We were shooting and picking flowers.
No, there was a huge spike.
Gathering.
I mean, schools with kids, whatever. Let them bomb one of those once in a while. But the opium fields, try to attack those and see what happens. You'll have the full force and might of the U.S. military cracking out on that. That stuff is scary too, because like I said, it's not obscene that like if somebody like if I was more famous or you were more famous, it'd be like, he died. Weird. Like,
Right.
did you see in the news the other day a federal prosecutor who was investigating the Democratic Party that like kicked Bernie Sanders to the curb and like pushed Hillary? A federal
man.
prosecutor who's like 37 years old, washed up on the beach in Florida, died from mysterious causes.
Baby, you want to go lock the front door?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. All the...
Hang on, there's a van out front. Jimmy John's?
You know, there was a guy a long time ago. I remember this showing up on some old show like That's Incredible or something. Nobody knows what show that is because none of you are old enough to understand what I'm talking about.
That's incredible.
But it was kind of like a Ripley's Believe It or Not show that was on in the 70s and 80s. And there was a guy that invented a car that ran on water. And, I mean, this was way the hell back then. They're doing it again. There's all this propaganda of people being like, I invented a car that ran on water. Sorry, bro. You're not the first one. The first one, however, went to a Cracker Barrel with a couple of people that were supposedly going to work a deal with him on his invention, and they ended up poisoning him in his Cracker Barrel dinner.
Right.
Or allegedly, sorry. Right. And he went outside and collapsed and fell dead.
It's not funny. I don't know why I just started giggling.
No, it's like I said,
dinner.
it's because
it's
because it's so scary that you have no choice but to laugh. I mean,
yeah, it's so ridiculous.
If somebody sticks a gun in your face and you know you're gonna die, are you gonna die crying? Or are you gonna just be like, just fucking shoot me, dude? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I think the biggest tragedy is that his last meal had to be Cracker Barrel. That place sucks.
It does,
so
man. I actually have enjoyed some Cracker Barrel, and I will give them this little bit of a plug. I will say that the ones on the East Coast follow more of a formula that is more Southern tradition. So the ones in the South don't taste as bad as the ones, say, here in Las Vegas.
I could see that, yeah. I could see that as
yeah, because I'm vegan, and we went there, and they were like, we literally have nothing for you except lettuce.
Right,
like,
and I don't blame them for that, because, I mean, you're going to get the same answer at McDonald's.
Right. Yeah, you don't go to,
Right.
You don't go to Charlie's shop and Rib House and be like, I like the tofu option.
Right. Yeah. Is there a tofu option? No, there's not. Go to a vegan place. Go to Whole Foods.
Just a salad.
The worst part about having a vegan wife, dude, is we spend anytime we go out to dinner, because unless you're filthy rich and vegan, you are going out to eat at Whole Foods, which is basically like eating at Safeway.
Right, yeah.
You're eating in a supermarket.
Down, the little shitty metal chairs that you have to move yourself.
It's like a date, isn't it?
Right.
It's so fucking horrible.
Some guy coffee on his laptop next to you.
Like, yes, there are vegan places that you can sit down and eat. They're going to cost you $75 a plate, but...
Yeah. That's the other thing. Eating good, even if you're not vegan, eating actually good can be expensive.
Yeah, like
I'm sure they want it that way.
It's actually more expensive to eat meat and animal products that are
non-GMO.
Yep.
Oh yeah, free range chicken, $4 more per leg.
Don't fall for the free range thing too.
There's still
you have to make sure that it's certified and that it's non-GMO, and that there's more in depth than just saying free range, because literally they can open the barn door of the coop that the chicken can't get up out of because he's still buckled under his own weight.
Right, yeah.
And as long as the door's open, it's considered free range. So
and we had a theory that, like, everything started saying grass-fed beef. And we're like, they probably get away with that by legally shoving a couple blades of grass in a dying cow's mouth.
At one point. They can get away with so much trickery like that it pisses me off, dude. Like, you can't trust anything anymore.
I have some cousins up in Montana that have their own little mini farm thing. They have like pigs and they have chickens and whatever, and pretty much the only place that I would believe that my stuff came completely fresh is when I go over there, where they give me something and they're like, this is a chicken that was allowed to live outside. Like, I believe you.
There's a place there is an international place. It's called Polyface Farms, which I would eat meat from without question, because I've seen many things on their raising of livestock, and they actually are like the old-fashioned farmer based. Like, they're free to roam. I mean, the farmers, they like pet the pigs, they play with the pigs, and then unfortunately one day it's their day to meet their maker. So
yeah, no, I actually read I guess this is only partially related, but I read a thing where it was like a semi worst case scenario for global warming, and they're talking about extinction, basically, to where like animals are like, dying off in species or whatever. And he said eventually, it wouldn't be unforeseeable within like a few generations to where all the animals that existed were like domestic pets and livestock, and that was it.
Right.
Pretty much. Like rhinos, stuff like that would just be, gone forever. And that's really interesting to think about too. Just pictures of a bunch of chickens with no legs and animals, wildlife. No, I don't think so.
Grown up with tubes in them, just raised for their meat,
like
have no feet.
Oh, it's so sad.
I can't imagine that either. Yeah, that's just got to be. Can't imagine.
I think if a lot of people had it their way, the world would be like that. They're really like, what use does a rhino serve? It doesn't serve any freaking use.
Yeah, I think you're losing. I think you're kind of losing a little bit of that. I guess it's one of the disadvantages of technology is that people just kind of lose that thing where they're just there and they're in it and they're part of. They realize. I mean, you're part of it whether you realize it or not.
Right.
Like all this stuff that we do, with comfort and technology, like we kind of put this curtain in between us and the rest of nature, but we say, but we're still there. You're still in the same house.
Right.
And it's interesting. I think it's important to, especially if you're like raising kids or whatever, be like, listen, like we're gonna go camping for like 4 days. Right. You're gonna shut your phone off the entire time. Yeah. I don't care if you're upset about it. And then you kind of reset, like your brain kind of untangles from whatever all this electronic stimulation and what have you does. Right. And I'm not condemning it because it's amazing as a tool and whatever, but I think it's important to actively
balance,
step away
man,
from it.
yin and yang, dude.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, I think that a lot of people might realize, those certain times that they did go to the beach one day when they finally got off their ass and went to the beach, or got off their ass and went hiking or whatever. They end up coming back and feeling better, but yet they don't continue to do it again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it took a lot of effort for them to get out there and do it. But when you really stop and think about it, did you feel better that day that you went out and did that? And I think that most people will find that they did. They felt more, they're able to sleep more because they felt like they did something and all that kind of stuff. And what it is actually being in tune with nature. You have to take yourself out of the concrete jungle every once in a while and just put yourself in the middle of it all, and you will benefit from it. Yeah.
No, I think it's very important. There's a thing they did actually. They said there's a lot of people whose circadian rhythm could be completely reset if they spend a week in the woods.
Yeah.
Where they go to bed at night, wake up in the morning, because your body starts to get towards all this artificial light, all sorts of stuff. It's time to go to bed. It's dark. There's nothing else to do.
Right.
It's time to go to sleep, and then you open your eyes and the sun's coming up and said, time to get going, time to start the day and do whatever. And not only that, there was when my sister got married. She got married up at this place called the Isaac Walton Inn up by Glacier National Park in winter. So it was like kind of tucked away, like away from everything. And where you were, we had internet, but people weren't really on their computers. Everyone's cell phone didn't work.
Okay.
You didn't have your cell phone. We were there for like
it's four
or 5 days, right?
Yeah.
Well, at first I was pissed. I was like, this is that's going to suck. I get there, and being to where there's just the people in the room with you that are there, and that's it. There's nothing outside of that. And being like, oh, where's my mom? Where's my uncle? Oh, I have to get up out of my seat and walk around the hotel and figure out where they are. And, hey, there you are. Oh, and you run into somebody else on the way.
Right.
And there was a thing, and at the end of the trip, I remember there was a feeling that I had that I hadn't had for a while. And it wasn't nostalgia. It was something different. It was some kind of like smoother, like I didn't feel as bundled up within myself. I just felt more relaxed. I felt like there was something that came back to where like a place where it was supposed to be in the first place that was there before and
commonality
isn't
and
anymore.
A connection. Yeah.
And it was there, and it's very hard to put a complete stamp and definition on it because it wasn't a total Zen thing, but it was similar to it. And I remember being on the way back home. And we're driving, and we get back to where we hit cell signal, and my phone, bong, 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 and I hated everything I heard.
Right.
Hated it.
Yeah. Because now you've got this obligatory answering you got to do. And
but then within 3 days,
back into the routine. Listen, dude, I'll tell you right now, a freaking huge blessing in mine and my wife's life. We have not had a cell phone in over a year. We have no phone. We have no TV. We have none of that. And we are happier than shit. And it
allows you to think and realize things.
And, you know, the best decision we ever made was to turn all this stuff off. No, I'm just kidding. We're broken. We had our shit shut off. My cell phone, the reason why I haven't had a cell phone in a year, it's been a little over a year now, was Periscope became a popular thing. And I was right on that wave, man, like right when it started happening, and you're able to broadcast live video on your cell phone. And I started running out of data and didn't know. So I started getting I got a $1,300 bill.
For a month?
For 1 month. For Periscoping. And it was because I was watching and broadcasting, because I just lived on Periscope. It was the greatest thing ever. Yeah. And so the company that I'm not going to mention ended up saying, hey, you know, we need this money. And I said, listen, I've been with you guys for almost 12 years now. And I said, and I just need a little time to pay it in segments. And they said no. So I just walked out on the bill.
Interesting.
Yeah. They wouldn't cut a deal with me, dude.
Because I'm with the provider right now that, and I'm going to say their name because this is a positive comment.
Okay.
It's Verizon.
Okay.
And for all the heat that they get, I actually posted a thing that I was going to leave them, and then they ended up fixing what the problem was the next day, and I was like, all right. So I'm kind of like, eh. But as far as like money stuff goes, like I had a couple of waves where I was like 2 or 3 months without a paycheck, and I'm like, hey, listen, I need my phone. And I'm like, I can't pay you right now, kind of thing. And they've always been like, all right, well, give us a day, give us your checking account, and tell us how much that day, and then pay the rest. Like, you have to pay the rest for this time,
right? But
we're gonna give you. I mean, I think there was one time, no joke, I think I hadn't given them a dime for almost 4 months, and they kept my phone.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, I mean, they've always been. In my experience, I know some people have had horror stories, but
we might actually look into getting that, because we do miss having a cell phone. We don't miss it as much as people would think. I'm sure that a lot of people would think, how the hell am I going to live without this? And it's been an entire year, and I'm telling you, most of the time we're happier people for not having it. There's just that one rare occasion when you want to call and order a pizza while you're on the way home, kind of thing, or you know, make a reservation somewhere before you get somewhere.
Old school car phone, just
right?
Like a big brick with a curly cord. You're like, you'll never guess where I'm calling you from.
A rotary
my car.
phone.
Yeah, that's this number's got 9s in it.
Right. It's funny though. People had those back in the day, and nobody was crashing when they had to use a rotary dial phone in their car
because they pulled over because they were like, I can't do this, and they weren't staring at it like, oh my god, Casey didn't like my photo.
Right.
That's the other thing. Social media. Once I officially retire from MMA, I'm done. I'm off everything. Facebook, Instagram. I refuse to use Snapchat.
I don't either.
I've never used Snapchat. I tried it once and I was just like, this is freaking lame, and I was done.
Yeah.
Well, I've had people tell me both things, and people be like, all right, this is stupid. I don't like it. And I've had other people who were like, I got on it, and next thing I knew, 3 hours had gone by. And I'm like, weird, are you kidding me? And then it's just like, yeah. I mean, I'm like,
on first gen Snapchat. I don't know what it's like anymore, but back then you literally could only send a picture with a text message in it, and it was like,
yeah, it was
hey,
video.
Here's me doing my dishes.
The only thing, the only thing I like about the Snapchat feature, I've seen a couple of my friends use and do like some funny things with it, is like it has like a movie mode basically, where you can take a bunch of little clips and put like a little movie together and do like sound over it and send it out to your friends or whatever. And some of the stuff they came up with was pretty funny. Yeah. And I was like, that actually would be kind of fun to just mess around with. But then if my all or nothing mentality, I'm like, I'm going to get into that. I'll get a computer with the software. I'm going to make an actual movie and do it. You know? So while I appreciate that aspect of it, it still seems like a big time sink, you know what I mean? And I'm already like, I hate how much time I look at Facebook. Right. And I just do it without thinking about it. I don't wake up and go, better check my Facebook. I'm just on the computer doing my email or, reading the news, and then I'm like, oh, I haven't. Yeah, and then people, like, I have, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 people who will just randomly message me, like, link after link after link. I'm like, I'm not reading this.
You know the best way out of that? Don't pay your cable bill.
Right.
You have no options anymore.
Right. Listen here. Alicia, I have some news. I have a plan. It's a strategy. Not going to pay our bills.
Right.
We're gonna eat supplements. And that's it.
The cool thing is if you have your phone shut off, you can still call 911. So you're not completely
because it still
isolated.
sees the tower. It's just like you just can't do anything else. Yeah. No. No, and I don't know if I'd ever get that extreme. I mean, I've had times where I just shut it off and left it off. You know what I mean? If I go on a hike or whatever, I'll pull it out to take a picture. If I have a good camera, I'll do a picture. But if people are messaging me or whatever, turn all notifications off. And that's what I hate. I have this iPhone that I'm using of Alicia's because my phone died and I'm too cheap to buy a new one.
Right.
And I can't, the notifications on it, Apple, it's like every other phone I've been in, it's like notifications, volume for this, volume for that. Apple's in like 3 different places, and it's like, oh, did you want the app, the sound app, Wiggly Bird? No, I don't. Just get me to the thing that is the normal setting. Like all this crap, even Windows 10. Like Windows 10, you click on here, and hey, here's Angry Birds, the newest Minecraft Ariana Grande mashup. It's like, what is this? I'm trying to go to settings.
I don't know.
Get out of my face.
Back in the day, man, I used to back when there was a PC Mac battle. I used to, even though I always used PCs, I always wanted to use Mac, but I just never brought myself to doing it, and I didn't want to learn a new format and all that crap like that, so I just stuck with PC. But whenever explaining to a person that didn't know much about computers what the difference was, I would be like, well, the difference is when you turn on a Mac, it's like, hi, I'm here, what do you want me to do? And a computer's like, a PC is like, hey, you want to buy a watch?
Yeah.
Hey, look over here.
Yeah. No, it got worse.
Dingly things.
I guess there's a way to install it. My buddy Mike, you know, Big Mike. He has a Windows 10 computer, and he somehow installed it to where it's just like the functions.
We're on Windows 10 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, it's just the functions. There's none of this advertising. You don't have to be forced. Yeah. A machine that just does what you want it to do, and not be like, and it's just, I think we talked about this before. Like how not only that, but like websites, I feel like major websites are getting shittier. Like it'll be like, click on this article from CNN, and like 3 videos start playing, and you have to scroll past like 6 advertisement pictures, and the text is size 17 font, and it's like, Bill Clinton was the president, like this basic, and it's like, what happened to like articles with shit that I could read and learn?
There's nothing tangible anymore, and the reason being is because they're getting paid for all these views and these clicks. So they're getting kickbacks from all these stupid videos and all these stupid things that you're clicking on. So,
but nobody's reading it. Nobody's looking at it.
Right.
That's what's weird.
It doesn't matter, though. They're getting paid by clicks.
And that's not going to last.
Right.
I think that's going to change.
Thank God.
I think that's going to change. I think people are going to be like, pay-per-click is...
Right.
Like, this is stupid. Like, because no one's...
I'll tell you right now, dude. YouTube is a prime example of this, okay? We have a shitload of views on YouTube.
Right.
Okay.
I remember you.
And we're not really making that much money, and I don't blame them because our views are not for very long duration.
Right.
Like we're not keeping the public interest, and that's fine by me. That makes perfect sense.
Right.
But if it was the way that you're talking about, we would be freaking having all this money for nothing, really. Just having people being tricked to come see our shit. You know what I mean? And I would much rather have it the way where when it's tangible and it's, you know, and people are actually enjoying it, that you're going to profit off of it because it's more true to the way it is. Yeah. And I talk a lot of shit about YouTube. I talk a lot of shit about Facebook, but there's good things happening and bad things happening. Now, the one thing that I will say is bad about YouTube is they're guilty of doing the same thing that YouTube did to us. They're suppressing our ability to be seen.
You mean Facebook?
I'm sorry, yeah. Facebook and YouTube. YouTube is suppressing our ability to be seen. So, whereas people would see a lineup of things that are similar videos, and there's thumbnails, and those thumbnails are basically clickbait for you to click on, and that's the whole reason for a thumbnail, you know, is clickbait. So I don't go against clickbait. It's a great technique because if you have a good picture, as long as it's relevant to the video that's playing, then people should want to be enticed by that thumbnail and click on it. But the thing is that they're not putting us next to quality videos, things that are of equal value. Right. When you go to our video exhibition, which almost has 1 million views, you've got Stacy's mom and any kind of sexy video that's even remotely like it, but all mainstream stuff. Right. When you go to those, you never see our video. Right. Ours is connected to, you know, Joey Murray filmed his dog farting and nobody watched it. Right. That's like where our shit's at. Yeah. Yeah. And it's horrible, dude.
Yeah. No, and I get like the model, you know, but I think people are sick of it though, and that's part of my thing too that I'm gonna be pushing with my marketing and my helping people out get their stuff out there, because people appreciate that honesty and that, like, this is something you actually want, and here's the information about it. Like, that's going away, and people, like if you look at, I'll give you an example, going on to Facebook, those clickbait articles will be like, this girl tap danced in front of an alligator. You'll never believe what happened next.
Right.
If you go to the comments lately, the top comment is someone going, so here's what happened in the article, blah, 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 and this is it. And it has like 1,000 likes and 20,000 comments. People, thank you, yeah, you're the man, blah, blah, blah. Because people don't want to be tricked. People hate being tricked.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
And it's this marketing thing where it's like, yeah, but if they're just look this way for a second, we get money out of it.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, because out of every, there's 7 billion people on the planet, or 8 almost. Right. Out of every 10 million people that see your video, one person actually gives a crap. That's not really good numbers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Fix your shit, make it more interesting, and then people will watch it. Even
with going back to my MMA thing, if I talk to somebody I haven't seen them, I'll go, hey, listen, I'm a fighter. I have a fight coming up. You want to go there? Listen, it's really not my thing. I don't like violence. I get weirded out. It's really weird to me, and especially since you're my friend. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Okay, end of conversation.
Right.
I don't spend any more time trying to create something out of nothing. Right. And all these places there's so many places I've worked for where they're like, no, but you gotta pitch it more. No, I'm done.
People are done.
The conversation is done.
Right.
This is
absolutely, dude.
I'm wasting my time.
It's funny to me because in my head I was picturing me, you, and Jess living in the same house or something, right? And I'm like, hey, you guys, I wrote this song, and you're like, hey, I don't really like it, and she's like, yeah, I don't really care for it either. So as the day goes by, I'm progressively in the background tapping it on pots and pans and being humming it and stuff. La 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 da 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 da. You guys are like, shut the fuck up, man.
Microphone slides in.
So Alicia Fontaine said that would be a good skit. Joey as MC or as a Mac. MC PC versus Frankie as a Mac. So yeah, that was back a while ago, but
we could do that.
Yeah,
we could pull that off.
Yeah,
bring that one back.
Right?
Yeah. What was that? That's like a 7-year-old commercial now.
Yeah,
we're gonna be dead soon.
It's true, man. 7 years. I blinked and I was 90.
Right, yeah.
Seriously.
But yeah, so yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Her and I are in the business of shock, clickbaity kind of shit. And we are using a technique that is like that, and it has worked for us in ways, and it has been a blessing in ways, and then it's been a hell in other ways. Mm-hmm. But it's the road we chose, and screw it. You know what I mean? If anything, numbers do count. If anything, her and I could put on a resume, we have 1 million views, which we do. So. End of story.
No, and I'm not saying that in the environment today. I think in the environment today, it works for this today. But look at what works for online marketing versus what worked 10 years ago. Or 10 years ago, if you would have been spamming with some of the stuff that gets out there, people would be like, "What is this guy's problem?"
Right.
You know what I mean? They'd be like, "This is," but now it's it's kind of this acceptable short attention span thing. But again, going back to real value. What is and again, I'm not trying to shit on what you guys are doing at all. Yeah. But I'm saying for a lot of what these people do, they make this as what are you making? Say that there is another big economic crash, and then there's a lack of value from certain things, and people don't have enough money to give out for these sudden little things that they don't these fidget spinners and getting the newest phone that can do the newest Snapchat thing.
Right.
What if they don't have the money to do that anymore? What's still going to be around? And that's where I'm going to be more centering my thing, is because I would rather be able to still do this 20 years from now. Right. Despite what anything...
Fortunately, in our realm is that we are making what I would call B-class music videos.
Right.
Okay. And I'm more than capable of making A-class. So if it came to the point where nobody liked it anymore, I could adjust accordingly.
Right.
And so I pride myself in that and knowing that I can do that. So
yeah.
I could actually get a lot worse with it, which I have contemplated doing, because of the fact that the shock value is not so shocking when the content is a little bit tolerable.
Right.
When the content is tolerable, then people find themselves a little too comfortable with it, so they're not talking as much shit and not sharing it with their friends. So I don't know. We're really at an impasse when it comes to that. We have semi-quality material that we want to get out there because we think that it's snappy and catchy, and we like the aspect of putting cringe out there.
I was just gonna say you must be inside my head because I was just gonna ask you something. Have you posted any of your stuff in the cringe?
Oh yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of views that way in Reddit, in Reddit cringes and stuff like that. Yeah. The problem with things like Reddit and 4chan is if they find out that you're self-promoting, they freaking ban you.
Oh yeah,
and I think it's ridiculous. That. It's like, what is this for? Why can't I self-promote? Right. It's not like I'm spamming the room 100 times with the same thing, but just simply putting it up there and saying, "Hey guys, check out my silly video. It's really stupid and weird and quirky or whatever." And for them to just turn around and attack you.
What's weird to me though is that they'll still leave up, and you don't see as many of these anymore, but they'll still leave up the post where it's like, "This is a picture of me with my grandpa 5 minutes before he died. Internet points, please."
Yeah, right?
YOLO.
Yeah. No problem there.
Yeah, that's not an issue.
Yeah. Alicia said that it was funnier 10 minutes ago. It's funny because I read the room pretty on a regular basis whenever there's a lot of comments coming, but there hasn't been in a while, so I've just been fucking ignoring it. So,
right.
I'm like, oh yeah, so Joey is an MMA fighter.
Right.
It was like an hour ago.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
And we have one of our other studios that are firing up their music, so I think that's our cue to wrap it up. Because
I was going to say, is there a church procession starting?
It's something to that degree. Yeah.
I hear this organ in the background.
Right.
I'm like, that's all the time we have today for NPR.
I'll tell you the organ that you're hearing, Joey.
This is a classical Lithuanian piece, 16th century.
But yeah, so rather than have somebody sue me for copyrights, I think probably we're going to sign it off. We went an hour and a half, an hour and 35 minutes and 47 seconds.
Second longest.
Yeah.
Go for the record next time.
Yeah,
I'll bring more depressing material to talk about.
I think that's a great idea, dude.
I have a slideshow of these kittens getting hit by a bus.
Famine and all that crap. Oh man!
All right, well, it's good, man. Thanks for having me on again.
Of course, dude. Mi casa is su casa and all that kind of shit. And we're gonna have you back on once we change the format. You're not like our low budget guest that doesn't deserve to.
Get him out.
We're gonna go Conan style, and then it's all it's all.
I'll just be in the audience heckling you.
Famous people from there on out.
5 o'clock shadow. Yeah.
Like you have to have at least 2,000 friends on Facebook to be on our show.
I could probably get there. I actually have like 6 requests I haven't even clicked on yet. I just ignore them. Yeah. Mostly. Unless I know them. But
I hear you. He's strumming some very nice chords in the other room over there. So yeah. Sundays are really weird. This is one of the reasons we don't broadcast on Sunday. Is because of this. So.
It's all right.
Is
that your music or is that theirs?
No, it's theirs.
Oh, it's still
theirs.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I would keep talking because I don't want to let it be identifiable and have BMI and ASCAP jumping down my throat.
Right.
It's got pay royalties.
It was organ and now it's got like a heavy beat to it. So it's like, what is this, like church dubstep? Hail to the king.
All right. So Joey Murray, it's been great seeing you, and thank you for sharing your insight on many different topics. And
thanks, sir. Yeah, like I said, just real quick.
Yeah,
plug
there.
Yourself.
Plug yourself.
Yeah. If anyone listening wants to work together on doing some copywriting, getting some material out there in terms of rewriting ad copy, can just kind of go over some marketing ideas and stuff. I'll be doing all that for free for the first whenever, and then once I have a portfolio, I'm going to start charging people. So
right.
I mean, still, again, initial consultation is going to be free forever because I don't want to try to charge someone that I can't actually help. So that's kind of scummy in my mind.
Right.
But yeah, no, absolutely. Get a hold of me on Facebook. Just hit me a PM and say, hey man, I got a website, I got a sales letter, I got this, whatever, and format it, rewrite it, whatever. So
sounds good, brother. Thanks for coming out, and everybody else, thank you for watching. We love you. And Jess,
choose love over. Wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Whoops.
Choose love over banging your microphone all day. All right, go.
Choose love over hate always.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Have a good day, and have a great week coming up. Play the song.